It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
Welcome to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, a platform that facilitates critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning. I am Chinyelu Akpa, your host, and it's great to be back here again. This month, our conversation has been on technology as an enabler of alternative education. In our first two episodes, we examined emerging trends and challenges in alternative education, focusing on how technology supports self-paced learning, career decision-making, and deeper engagement beyond the traditional classroom. We also explored how tech-enabled programs can go beyond delivering content to equipping young people with leadership, life skills, and civic awareness. From AI-powered career platforms to community-driven digital spaces, we examined what is working, what can be scaled, and what still needs to evolve. As calls for alternative education grow, there is increasing emphasis on nurturing the whole learner. This includes building values, cultural identity, emotional intelligence, and purpose, all these through technology. On this episode, we continue this all-important conversation by spotlighting an EdTech founder who is reimagining how young people learn, not just academically, but holistically. Through storytelling, leadership, and life skills education, their platform is closing the gaps in traditional systems and helping learners thrive beyond the classroom. This episode explores what it truly means to build tech-enabled learning systems that produce not just smarter learners, but stronger citizens. Our guest on the show today is the co-founder of Proud African Roots. She is a dynamic actor, dancer, voice talent, writer, producer, and social entrepreneur. Known for her warm presence and quick-witted passion, she has featured in leading roles across theater, television, film, and audio. Notably, she played Queen Odosun in The King Must Dance Naked at the 2012 London Olympics. She's also the face behind the Grandma Wura brand, a featured client of the savvy actor New York. She is deeply committed to empowering children and teenagers through the arts, coaching, creating, and inspiring the next generation. She believes in building a new Africa. Join me to welcome our guests, the one and only Bola Edwards. I think you need like round of applause in the background. Welcome, Bola. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And I was just saying before we started rolling, it's interesting that you have never been on the EdTech Mondays show.
Not at all.
Oh, where have you been?
I've been right here in Nigeria.
But it's good that we finally have you here because
Yes.
there's no better time as now when we're discussing the role of technology in pushing alternative education.
Yeah.
Because ever so often people think about education and there's that bit about just academics.
Yes.
And we now have children who are sound in academics but are lacking everywhere else. And this is where Proud African Roots comes in.
Absolutely.
So let's just get into the meat of the conversation and ask, what do you do at Proud African Roots?
So at Proud African Roots, we create content. We use indigenous ideas, African ideas, and cultural concepts in building this content and ensuring that they're actually world class as well, because the children these days, their appetite is so stretched out. And ensuring that through content, we can educate children about morals, about ethics, about whatever aspect of learning we want them to actually have. And so you use storytelling. You just put whatever it is you want to teach them, put it in a content, put it in a story. And because it's memorable, they catch it.
So great, that's interesting. And who would have thought that there would be a form of education that would be storytelling, which is, I think, the most traditional way that we have taught from time immemorial. So this would lead me to my next question. What gaps in our education system inspired you to creating Proud Africans and thinking that this was a better way
Yeah.
to engage the Nigerian child and ensuring that, through this platform, through how you have designed your offerings,
Yeah.
we are sure to get them on a better path, academically and, as we say, holistically.
So basically, in the traditional classroom, you have just exams and tests. It's not as engaging. Children want to have fun. They want to learn through fun. They want moments that are as engaging as possible. So we found out that it's important for them to be able to engage in ways that are more relatable, like through storytelling, like seeing characters that look like them as well. So those are ways that we can actually begin to teach the children. And we began to think as well that since we have the issues and challenges of leadership in our country or on our continent, for example, why don't we start molding and shaping the children, the leaders that we want to see from the classroom as well? I mean, you have moral education in the curriculum, you have the civic education as well. We can begin to make those aspects, even the religious education in churches and mosques and all of that. We can begin to enhance those learnings in the children's church, in the children's mosques, in classes, and all of that through engagements that is more interactive, that is more entertaining. Because the children these days, they really love entertainment. So why don't you use that as an alternative tool to educate them?
So with all of this, and this is a very good premise, what now has been the role of technology in unlocking all of this for you? Because I am aware that you have your theater, performances and all of that. The theater and the very physical aspect of what you do at Proud African Roots. So when we now think about it as technology being an enabler of alternative education, what has been the switch? What has technology now done? Because first off, I'm thinking, do people really think this is something we or children should be learning? So that's one bit of it. And the second bit is, if they really do think it's important, how has now having this on digital platforms made it more accessible? What's the reaction, the feedback, the acceptance rating that you receive when they now know that they don't have to be in a physical location, because geography is a hindrance. You can't be in all 36 states at the same time. But I believe technology has cut in half or more than half all your logistical problems.
Yes. So, Grandma Wura had the school tour where we would go to assemblies. That's what assembly time with Grandma Wura. And, she can only be in so many places at the same time. But how can we begin to multiply Grandma Wura across assembly schools, in classes and everywhere? And so that was where technology came in. So teachers, it's important for us to begin to train teachers to have the ability to actually engage children, in very interesting ways. And so through the app, the Grandma Wura app, a teacher can actually have Grandma Wura in class with her and use Grandma Wura app as a tool to engage the children. And so the teachers are able to use the app as an enhancement to their classes, to their lessons. And also we have the Grandma Wura school bus, where we teach moral education, proverbs, sing-along songs and all of that. The teachers actually use that on their, they can use it as a workbook. They can also use it on their interactive, what's it called
Boards,
now? Their tech devices and all of that. And the children are engaged in class. And Grandma Wura is right there. And the teacher is happy because she's able to do better. And for the performing arts, every child can be in the theater. But we can use, because on the app, we do have the HQ, where you have the Grammar Wura School Bus, which teaches the ethics and the moral instructions and all of that. Then we also have the Spotlight, where children can learn performing arts. They learn singing, dancing. All the coaches are right there, teaching them how to sing, how to dance, how to act, right there.
Okay.
So they can watch that. So no matter where you are in the world, you can actually learn how to sing, how to dance, and how to act. And so children are engaging in all of these things, which gives them, they don't have to necessarily always be on Grammar Wura's production. There are productions going on everywhere. Thank God there are new producers coming on board as well. Things are looking better now for children's entertainment. And so the children can begin to, imbibe and get all of these skills right there on the app, and they can go for auditions and win.
What really is interesting and has stood out for me is, for a lot of times, and we've had this feedback from parents, and guardians who, when they think EdTech, are thinking about just sciences, right? So what you have done now is you have given our listeners, you've given the parents, you've given even governments,
yes,
an insight to how technology has made, what I think you're doing is civic education.
Absolutely.
As we know it, social studies as it used to be called back then.
Creative arts education.
Creative arts education, and you have democratized it. Because if you have a smartphone, if you have access to data, you can learn your civic education, civic responsibilities and all of that. You can also learn the bits about acting, voice coaching, and the rest.
Yes.
Which is my next question. How does all of this make it easier for, I'll say, the school owners? Because there is even the problem we face with, employment and getting teachers.
Yes.
And then there's a Grammar Wura app that you don't have to have the best of the best. You might not have, a civic education teacher or a creative arts teacher, but you have this in a tab.
Yes.
In an interactive board, in an idea hub that you can use in your classroom. So what is this effect now on school systems and school management?
It has just made work much more easier. You have an assistant already in the app, right? So my heart goes out as well to theatre arts graduates as well. I know of a lot of theatre arts graduates who have graduated from schools, and they're not able to really practice what they went to school to learn. They find themselves in banking, they find themselves in all sorts of places.
Everywhere else
but what they, exactly. So now we can even, with the collaboration and partnership with the government, we can begin to have creative arts graduates who can begin to go into schools, especially if the creative arts education is actually put into the curriculum for the children, because that is what we're actually pursuing, for governments to begin to see the importance of creative arts education in the curriculum. And then as a result, you can actually open more jobs for youths, because you have a lot of youths that just go to schools and say, I'm going to teach your children how to dance and sing and whatever. But the children don't really know the technical hows of how to do those things. You just tell them, okay, learn this, put them on stage, and that's it. But there are technical things the child needs to know about the performing arts, which you have in the app, and which these graduates, when they go to the schools, can also have, as that can be their assistants as well. So those are the kind of things that can happen with the app. More jobs, creative arts education spread out across the continent, the country, the continent, and all of that. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. So our final question, because it's really interesting. I know that we could go on. If I leave you, but I will go on and on.
I will go on.
But with what we've experienced and the successes, of Proud African Roots, how you are reimagining what learning can be, how you are reimagining what, I don't want to call it non-academic education, because I know that on the Grammar Wura app, you still have the bit where they're going through some bit of formative assessment to reinforce what they have learned, right?
Yes.
So what are some policy, I wouldn't say policy shifts, but what are some shifts in our current EdTech ecosystem that we need to make for more models like yours to work? Are there any things you're hoping to see, maybe from school owners, maybe from parents
Yes.
who do not think that this is what children should be learning, or even funders who might not be willing to support people like you who have decided that they won't just focus on math and English only, but there is a civic bit of things that ensure that a kid is rounded, and is a strong citizen, as you said in the introductory statement. So are there any shifts that would support people who are focusing on alternative education and are leveraging technology?
Basically, I think most of the background help that we would need in this aspect is policies that can be created to actually help to promote the kind of work that we are doing in this aspect of EdTech. And I spoke to someone recently and I asked something like this, and probably things like taxes as well that would help investors. Not a lot of people actually fund children's and content and entertainment or edutainment, but if funders or investors or private organizations are given some sort of tax rebates as well, that, if you're involved in things that have to do with children's work and all of that, you get this amount of tax and all of that. I think that also would encourage investors to begin to look our direction as well. It's important for us to also begin to educate our heads of schools and teachers, trainings that help them to understand that storytelling is a vital thing, be it in science, math. When I was a little girl, I'm 47 now, right? And I remember that when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I didn't like math. But I remember my teacher, Mrs. Awolowo. Not Mrs. Awolowo, she was a Miss Awolowo. She taught us how to do the subtraction, the hundreds and all of that, and how to do that subtraction. And she used storytelling. And she talked about, when we go to minus this from this, this number is too small, so we can't take this number, it's too big to take out of there. Let's go to Mr. 7 and we will knock, and then Mr. 7 opens up. And there was a way she taught that subtraction. I'm 47, I was like over 40 years ago. I never forgot. Storytelling is not just for the performing arts. You can bring it into all of the subjects.
And this is where technology comes in, because all of this is now at their fingertips.
Absolutely. And then I'm looking forward to a point where I can do all the work. We have just a handful of producers of children's content and all of that. We need to begin to raise new producers. That's more employment for youths. I work with a lot of youths. The children, they are the answers to all that Africa needs to achieve.
Thank you. This is a beautiful way to end the conversation. And before we leave, where can our listeners find Grandma Wura and engage with the amazing products I know you have at Proud African Roots? So how can they find you?
So they can go to our website. That's www.proudafricanroots.com.
Okay.
And for the app, it's www.grandmawurahub.app.
Great.
Yes.
And you're on YouTube as well.
YouTube, yes, PAR Network.
PAR Network. My listeners, my friends, you need to get online and see the amazing work that is being done with Proud African Roots and how they have reimagined storytelling, leveraging technology to teach your children, our children, skills, topics that we would typically not even think are what they should be learning or what the school would have the time to administer. And one thing is, the feedback has been massive. Children are learning, children are getting engaged, and schools are also being relieved of the hassles of looking for specific teachers who can take, the lessons that they have so easily put on these technology digital platforms. Would love to hear from you. Do you believe that alternative education in Nigeria is doing well? And do you think that technology will really make it easy for more alternative education to go on in Nigeria. What role does technology have to play in ensuring that children are learning skills like what Bola Edwards is doing as Proud African Roots when it comes to leadership, humanities? They are well-rounded and grounded. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an SMS or a WhatsApp message to 0703 165 0809 or 0706 402 0742. Remember, the conversation does not end here. We have a very active Telegram and WhatsApp community. Simply search on Telegram and on WhatsApp channels for EdTechMondays Nigeria. In case you missed where to find Bola Edwards and Proud African Roots, you'd have all that information on these communities, and you can engage, share experiences, and who knows, you might be our next guest in our next episode. Also, remember, we have videos from this episode on YouTube at CC Hub Africa, and you can also listen to the replay of this episode and all the other episodes we've had this year at EdTechMondays Nigeria on Spotify. Until I come your way, same time, same station, I remain your host, Chinyelu Akpa. Keep using technology to push the frontiers in education. It's bye for now.
It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.